What is up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood webware fanatic, and today we're looking at all the leadership upgrades in Marvel Champions. So let's go ahead and get started here with the first one, which is a one cost upgrade here, Clarity of Purpose. Attached to a friendly character, max 1 per character. Hero resource, exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to attached character and generate a wild resource. So Clarity of Purpose is a pretty cheap resource generator, right? Only being one cost and stays in play forever. However, you can only use this card in hero form, and you gotta take 1 damage every single time you use it. So that could be a little bit detrimental over time, slowly just taking 1 damage every single turn that you use it. So I think it's definitely better than C tier, and I think I think it's an A tier card. I think it definitely can be. So Clarity of Purpose, I think it's a low A tier card. So for some heroes, I think it's a very high A tier card, possibly even S tier. And the two heroes I'm really thinking about are Captain Marvel, whose picture is on it, and Spider Ham. So if we take a look at Captain Marvel here, the first one. So Captain Marvel, her hero ability is Rechannel. Action, spend an energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel and draw a card. Since there's a cost arrow, the official ruling on this is that if she's at max hit points of 12, she cannot heal a damage, so therefore she cannot trigger this effect and draw a card. But with the Clarity of Purpose here, they also ruled that if you use this card as a hero resource, you can exhaust it and do 1 damage to your identity. So Captain Marvel takes the damage, and then this will generate the Wall resource, which we can use to be in energy because walls can be anything. And you can spend that energy right away and heal that damage right back up and then draw a card. So Clarity of Purpose for Captain Marvel is like an Avengers Mansion for just one cost, but you have to combine it with their hero ability. But yeah, so basically you just have Clarity of Purpose, take a damage, heal it back up with Rechannel, and then draw 1 card every single turn. And all you gotta do is exhaust Clarity of Purpose. So for Captain Marvel, I mean, this is definitely an S tier level card. And I also think it's very, very good for Spider Ham. So if we take a look at Spider Ham's hero ability, his hero ability right here is let's see, Spider Nonsense. So it's a response. After Spider Ham takes any amount of damage, place 1 toon counter on him. So if he has a Clarity of Purpose, you can trigger this to generate a wall resource, and you deal 1 damage to Spider Ham as well. So not only does he get this wall resource that he can spend, or that he must spend right away, but he also gets a toon counter that he can spend later on. So for Spider Ham and Captain Marvel, I think that Clarity of Purpose is definitely an S tier level card. But I think for other heroes, it goes in the A tier. If you're playing leadership, I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely a cheap resource generator that you could definitely have out, which is always useful. 1 damage is not bad when you really need that resource, right? Because it can still save your game. It can give you just enough resources and the economy that you need to specifically do something that turn, right? Like remove that from a scheme or play an extra attack event or whatever you need to get rid of a minion, right? So it's still a really, really good card. I think that over time, the 1 damage can definitely take its toll if you don't have any way to recover that back up. So our next leadership upgrade is another one cost upgrade here. Comms Implant. Attached to a Guardian ally, max 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +1 Thor and +1 hit point. So we're gonna evaluate this card as if we're playing with a Guardian deck with a bunch of Guardian allies, right? So one cost upgrade for 1 Thor and 1 hit point is not that good. So I'm gonna put this card in the C tier, and I mean, it can definitely be better, of course, if you are playing with an ally heavy deck, like if you're playing a Voltron deck and you're just trying to put a lot of attachments or upgrades, I mean, to Guardian allies and power them all up, then it can be very, very good. But I think that it goes in C tier for me because that's a very stationary type of archetype, and you really have to build around it, right? Even if you're including a bunch of Guardian allies, you can't just slot this card in and just expect it to be useful. You really have to plan around it because allies do take consequential damage. So if they're cheap allies, giving them this extra thing, they have 1 more hit point, but if they take more consequential damage, they might get defeated. The 1 Thor is nice, but how long is that going to last? How many activations can it get off, right? If they only get off 1 activation with the 1 Thor, it's not going to be useful. If they get off 2 because of the extended hit points, it's still not going to be the best thing, right? Just a 1 for 2 more extra Thor over time. So because of that, I don't think it's the best, what's it called, ally attachment type upgrade either. So definitely not even first in C tier, but I'm putting in C tier because it is a situational type of card that requires a specific setup around it to maximize its full effect. But it can be powerful, right? +1 Thor, +1 hit point is definitely useful. Next we have a 0 cost upgrade here, Coordinated Attack. attached to a minion, max 1 per minion. Each ally takes -1 consequential damage when attacking the attached minion. So I'm not the biggest fan of this card. This card goes also in the C tier, and I'm going to put it behind the Comms Implant. Um, you attach it to a minion, and then when an ally attacks, they take -1 consequential damage. So you're attacking, if you want to maximize the full benefits of this card, you really want to have a huge, super big, strong minion, right, that has like 10 hit points, and you're attacking so many times where you're preventing so much consequential damage with this attached to that minion. But if you have a minion that has like, I don't know, 2 hit points, 3 hit points, and an ally knocks it out in one swing, you play this card to essentially just prevent 1 damage, which isn't totally bad if it keeps the ally alive, but the situational use for this type of effect, it makes it usually a dead card in your hand unless you have a minion in play and you have an ally in play, and you want that ally to prevent the consequential damage, right? So that's why the full benefits of this card, if it's a minion with 2 hit points or 3 hit points, is not going to be that good for having this type of card in your deck, holding up a deck space. Um, but yeah, I mean, it can be useful in this situation that I just talked about, where you're having a bunch of allies attack, and they can survive now because they're not taking consequential damage, or just -1 consequential damage, and then it's hitting like a 10 hit point minion. So there's a bunch of ally activations going off on that minion, and you're preventing a lot of damage, right? Then it could be very, very good. But even then, I would say its effect is like, I don't know, maybe a B tier max, or like low A tier type of effect, right? Because you could just heal the allies if you want to keep them in play. There's other ways to do that, and that's a little bit more versatile if you're healing them around. But yeah, I mean, this card, I really want to put it in D tier, but I think there is a situational use for it, so it's going to go here in the C tier. Next, we have a Danger Room Training, 1 cost upgrade attached to an X-Men ally, max 1 training upgrade per ally. Attached ally gets +1 Thor, +1 attack, and +1 hit point. So I like the Danger Room Training a lot more than the Comms Implant, right? Obviously. So the only thing is that for the Comms Implant, if you attach it to a Guardian ally, you can attach other upgrades as well. For Danger Room Training, you can attach it to an X-Men ally, but then you can only have 1 training upgrade per ally, right? So Comms Implant is still max 1 per ally, but you can have other types of Guardian upgrades. Danger Room Training, all the X-Men upgrades are training upgrades, I believe, at least right now. So it limits it. But I mean, look at the effect compared to Comms Implant. This is +1 Thor, +1 hit point. This one is +1 Thor, +1 attack, and +1 hit point. So I think this adds so much more versatility, and I think because of Danger Room right here, so this is a support for the X-Men. It's a 2 cost support. Alter Ego response after an X-Men ally enters play. Exhaust Danger Room, search your deck and discard pile for a training upgrade attached to that ally, right? So this card has so much synergy with the Danger Room training here, because you can tutor Danger Room training from your discard pile or your deck and put it straight right on that ally, right? So because of this card right here synergizing so well with Danger Room training, right? Because Danger Room training, I'm gonna put the Danger Room training in the B tier, because this card works by itself, right? If you're playing with X-Men allies, which we already valued this card as we're playing with a bunch of X-Men allies, you can have this card by itself, and it's going to be useful because it's so versatile with the +1 Thor, +1 attack, and +1 hit point. But then to power up even more, if you have Danger Room, I mean, it becomes invaluable because it's kind of a free tutor, and you can play it for free instead of paying its 1 cost, because it just comes into play from your deck or your discard pile, right? So because of that synergy there, and then because of the fact that even without the synergy, it's still a useful card, I'll put Danger Room in the B tier, even though Comms Implant is in the C tier. Next, we have Inspired. This is a 1 cost upgrade attached to an ally, max 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +1 Thor and +1 attack. So very, very similar to the Comms Implant. This is going to B tier. I do think this is a lot better though. I like the having extra attack and extra Thor, but I think this goes high C for me. Giving extra attack and extra Thor is, I think, more viable than just having Thor and a hit point. But at the same time, I mean, it has the same problems as the Comms Implant, right? Where if the ally dies right away, if they still activate only 1 time or 2 times, right, for a cheaper ally that has less hit points, then Inspire is not going to be as useful. You really have to build around to maximize its full effects. And Danger Room Training, I mean, because it gives a hit point in addition to the Thor and attack, it's just so much more versatile than Inspire or Comms Implant. So yeah, I think I'll put Inspired very high in the C tier, but not in the same level as the Danger Room Training. Next, we have the Laser Blaster. One cost upgrade, another upgrade for an ally. Attached to a guardian ally, max 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +1 attack and its attacks gain overkill. So this one I think is going to be the least valuable of all the ones we've seen so far. I don't think it's as bad as the coordinated attack, but definitely for an ally upgrade. I mean, you get +1 attack, you don't get to increase the ally's hit points at all. And then does the ally need to be doing overkill? Is the ally that strong? It can be if you're really building around it, which cements this card really in the C tier because you really need to build even harder around the laser blaster to maximize its full benefits, right? You want the ally to have a lot of attack. You want to really build a deck around that ally and buff them up with all these upgrades here, including the laser blaster to really get the full benefits because you need a lot of attack damage or a high attack stat, I mean, to do overkill and really get full benefits of that overkill. So because of that, these cards I think help you out more if you're in a dire situation, right? Because the extra thwarting is going to help, the extra thwarting is going to help. This one, you don't have the extra thwarting, you just have extra attack. And overkill is useful for, I mean, if you're going to level it down, but even if you're playing a rush style, it's going to be really hard to play a bunch of ally upgrades in a rush style. So there's a little bit of anti-synergy there. So I think the laser blaster is definitely the worst out of the ally upgrades we've seen so far. Next we have leadership skill, another one cost upgrade. It comes in with 3 leadership counters, max 1 per player. As an interrupt, when an ally makes a basic thwart or basic attack action, remove one leadership counter from here. That ally gets +1 thwart and +1 attack for that action. So I think this card is either here or in the B tier. I like its versatility. So instead of attaching to an ally, it gives that ally a buff, right? So in a situation, so there's more situations that you can use it. You don't have to play necessarily like an ally buffing type of deck. It's just going to be useful to give those allies those extra buffs over time, and the ally can still chump block and get defeated, and you can still use 2 more leadership counters for the next ally that activates, right? So it's just a nice cheap way to give that ally a +1 thwart and +1 attack. It's only for the action, so I think it's still, let me see, if you, one cost, you get to add that over time, only 3 counters. It's not bad. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I don't think it's terrible. I think that if I have empty rock slot in my deck, this card is versatile enough to where I can slot it in. Right, one cost is very, very cheap, and then just adding that +1 thwart, +1 attack whenever you really need it for like, you know, to remove that 1 extra threat from a scheme or that 1 extra damage to defeat a minion, right? That could come in very clutch. So I think that if I have an empty roster spot, I wouldn't mind this card, and I like that it's an interrupt, not a hero interrupt, so you can use it in alter ego or in hero form. It just, yeah, a little bit lackluster of an effect because you know you use it 3 times and then it's gone and it only stays in play. That stat boost only stays in play for that action, right? Not for the whole entire phase. So you get readies on the ally, it's not gonna be as good, right? So if you get a bunch of readies on the ally and they don't take consequential damage and you can prevent it somehow, then Inspired and Comps in play Laser Blaster is going to be better than Leadership Skill. But I think that requires a lot more building around. So in most situations, I think the Leadership Skill is going to be more useful. And yeah, it's just going to be always helpful to have out in play. Next we have Mission Leader, a 2 cost upgrade here. Reduce the cost to play Mission Leader by 1 if your identity has a soldier trait. And then as a hero response, after a side scheme is defeated, exhaust the Mission Leader and each player draws a card. So this card is kind of like the leadership version of the Justice card, Skilled Investigator. So Skilled Investigator I do like more. It's a 0 cost upgrade. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Hero response, after a side scheme is defeated, exhaust Skilled Investigator and draw a card. So this card's going to be better for solo. But in multiplayer, this card, after side scheme is defeated, exhaust Mission Leader and every player draws a card. So your group is going to love you for playing this card here, but it is a 2 cost upgrade, and just like the Skilled Investigator, that's a hero response. The Mission Leader is a hero response as well. So if you're in alter ego form while a side scheme is defeated, you cannot exhaust the Mission Leader to trigger its effect to have everyone draw a card. So hopefully when a side scheme is defeated, you are in your hero form. But yeah, this is a very, very powerful card. Very, very good in multiplayer. Solo is not going to be as good, but still useful. I think I'm going to put this card in the A tier. I don't think so. I'm evaluating a lot of it for multiplayer. I'm going to put it second in A tier. But I will say this. I think that if you're playing multiplayer, and especially if you're playing a soldier identity, this is an S tier card, right? If you're playing multiplayer, there's going to be side schemes out. Having everyone draw a card, it makes it invaluable. But I think in solo, it drops a tier to A tier, and it's going to be behind Clarity of Purpose. And the reason that it doesn't go into B tier or even lower than that, I I think is the Skilled Investigator is really good, but is only for when you're playing Justice, right? So this gives leadership a way to get this effect. Um, yeah, I actually think in solo it's actually a little bit worse. It's probably in the B tier for me in solo, but because in multiplayer it's in S tier, I'm gonna put it overall just in the A tier here. And I think that's a good way to round it out, right? Because I think that in solo you might not get a side scheme out, right? There's not a guaranteed chance. If you're playing Cable, right, the Cable hero, then of course this card goes up. Like it's definitely A tier, possibly even S tier for Cable for leadership because Cable always has side schemes. But if you're not playing Cable, I mean, you can't guarantee a side scheme, and then 2 cost is a little bit expensive. 1 is definitely a lot better, and Cable has that soldier trait, so it's 1 for Cable. So yeah, a little bit hard for me to rate, but I'll put it here in the A tier. I think that if you're playing solo and not Cable in a scenario that doesn't have a lot of side schemes, it can definitely drop. And if you're playing multiplayer, I mean, it definitely goes in S tier. Our next upgrade is the Power Gloves, a 1 cost upgrade here, attached to an Avengers ally. Max 1 per ally. As a response after attached ally attacks or thwarts, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So this card is super duper powerful because it does not have to exhaust to trigger its effect. So if the attached ally attacks and you have a way to ready up that ally, then this card can do 1 damage multiple times per turn for just the 1 upgrade. Or for just a 1 cost upgrade, I mean. So I think this card is pretty good. At the same time, dealing 1 damage. So I do want to clarify on the damage. So this is not an attack activation. So this 1 damage can ping off Tufts. It can attack the villain whenever there's a guard minion in play. It will bypass the guard. It will bypass retaliate. So it's a very, very useful way to just do 1 damage. And your ally could just be attacking or thwarting, right? It doesn't even have to be attacking. It can just be thwarting. So very, very efficient way to do damage over time. But you do want to build around it, right? Because you need to have an ally that does not take consequential damage or can prevent a lot of consequential damage or recover, right? Because the more activation you get from the ally, the better this card is. And if you can only get 1 activation, then this card is not good at all. So it's going to go into C tier because I think it's very, very situational compared to these other cards here. And as for where in the C tier, I think that this has more of a useful effect. I'm going to put this card here. I think these 3 cards are very, very close, but I value damage a little bit less than I value thwarting, and both these cards have thwarting. This one has thwarting and a versatility of damage whenever you need it. Damage is going to be useful for minions and for gunning the villain down, right? But I think that overall thwarting is going to help you control the scenario a little more. So yeah, I think it can definitely be argued that power gloves are a lot better, but I think the power gloves also need to be built around. So I think it's better than laser blast for sure. Very close to Comp's Implant, but I just prefer the thwarting a little bit more. Next we have Rapid Response. It's a 2 cost upgrade, max 1 per player. Hero Response after an ally you control is defeated. Discard Rapid Response, put that ally into play from your discard pile and deal 1 damage to it. So this is a very, very good card. Is it going to B tier or the A tier? I'm not sure here. Rapid Response. So it's gonna be better depending on the ally, right? So for example, if you have an ally like, let's say, White Tiger, I think Rapid Response is not going to be as good because White Tiger right here, the leadership ally, after you play White Tiger from your hand, you can draw X cards. So for Rapid Response, it's after an ally you control is defeated, you discard Rapid Response, you put the ally back into play from your discard pile and deal damage to it. So it would not trigger White Tiger's effect to draw a card because she must be played from your hand. Half the allies, not half, I would say a lot of allies have the effect where you must play them from their hand to get their response. But some allies, like let's say Nick Fury, he doesn't care about that because Nick Fury says force response after he enters play, then you can choose one. So for Nick Fury's effect, if you rapid response him, he is so valuable, or he makes rapid response so valuable because this is a 2 cost upgrade, but you can get a 4 cost ally back out here for only the 2 costs. I do want to say for the combo for Nick Fury and rapid response, when you put that ally back into play, if Nick Fury leaves play during the villain phase and he comes back into play with rapid response, he still leaves play at the end of the round. So when the villain phase ends, he's going to leave play because the end of the round is when the villain phase ends. So if you rapid response him, you get him in, you can either do 4 damage, draw 3 cards, or remove 2 threat, and then he still leaves play. So if the villain's attacking multiple times, it's going to be really, really good because then you can have Nick block twice, and you get an extra 3 cards to draw as well, right, from the rapid response for only 2 cost. So that could be very, very good. But even if Nick leaves play and does not block again, I still like the rapid response for Nick Fury because drawing 3 cards for 2 costs right here, I think it's very, very good. Um, Note that it's only one per player, right? So you can't stack up 3 rapid responses, which would be very, very nice. And it is a hero spawn, so you can't share this effect if you're an Arch Ego. But most of the time when your allies leave play, it's because they're defeated through blocking for you. So I think that is not that much of a factor. So it depends which ally you use, but I think almost every single deck is going to have an ally that can take advantage of rapid response. And you want it to be an expensive ally, right, to get the full benefits of the rapid response. I think this goes into A tier for me. Do I like it more than Clarity of Purpose? Um, I think Rapid Response is definitely a card you can build around. A little bit hard for me to rank. You can even argue Mission Leader above. Yeah, I'm gonna put Rapid Response as my top leadership card as for right now, because I think that Rapid Response, at least for me, makes it in more leadership decks than Clarity of Purpose, because I'm a little bit wary about that 1 damage every single turn. Definitely for Spider-Ham and Captain Marvel, I mean, like I was saying earlier, Clarity of Purpose is great for those guys, but Rapid Response I think is pretty good for everyone. And it's always, if you have Rapid Response out in the field, it's always going to be useful. As for these 2 cards, there will be situations where you might not need them out, right? Because if you don't need that extra resource for that specific turn, because you can play everything perfectly, Clarity of Purpose won't be as useful. But yeah, the Rapid Response, I mean, it's always going to be, I mean, obviously a resource generator is always useful, but the 1 damage, I don't know. I like Rapid Response a little bit more, but I think for Spider-Ham and Captain Marvel, for sure, Clarity of Purpose I like more. Okay, so let's take a look at our next leadership upgrade. It's another 1 cost upgrade. Reinforced Suit. Attached to an ally, max 1 per ally. The attached ally gets +2 hit points. So I don't think this is that good. I'm gonna put it, I think, right here. Okay, and when I say it's not that good, it is very good if you're playing a Voltron style, right? Because 2 hit points is invaluable for 1 cost right here. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, there is the Danger Room training, the protective training. I don't remember the exact name of it. Let's see, protective training. Yeah, so for X-Men, this is for the protection aspects, a 1 cost upgrade. It can only be on an X-Men ally and only 1 training upgrade per ally, but that ally will get +3 hit points here with the protective training. So that's a strictly better version of the reinforced suit here, which is giving you +2 hit points. Um, yeah, but even then, I mean, the 2 hit points is very valuable to give the ally more activations. It's effectively kind of healing them by 2, which I think is very, very useful, right? It's kind of like a way to cheat in a recovery if you don't have ways to recover that ally and you want them to activate more times. But still goes in C tier because you need to build around it so heavily, right? You can't just include this card in your deck, because if you just include it without building around it, giving your ally more hit points is not going to be super duper useful, because sure, they get more activations, but can you survive while keeping them in play, right? Usually the ally will have to block for you against the more difficult scenarios, so they might not be able to stay in play to take advantage of having those extra hit points, because they might just have to chump block it and die already, right? So because of that, it's not going to be as useful. I still like it more than Laser Blaster. I just don't really value the overkill and the +1 attack as much. Maybe if it was piercing, I would definitely like it a lot more. But yeah, I think the reinforced suit is not as good as a Power Gloves, better than Laser Blaster. And then definitely all these cards can be very, very good if you're playing a Voltron deck, really centering around those allies and building them up and keeping them in play. And then our last leadership upgrade is a 1 cost upgrade, Sky Cycle, attached to an Avengers ally, and we will evaluate this card as we were playing with an Avengers deck. Max 1 per ally, attached ally gains aerial, which I haven't seen anything that's been useful for that so far, but there might be something that I'm missing. And then as an action, you can exhaust the Sky Cycle and then ready up the attached ally. So this card has a very, very high ceiling. I'm actually going to put the Sky Cycle, it's still situational, so I'm putting a C tier. Is this ceiling high enough to put in the B tier? You can ready the attached ally. I think it goes in a B tier just because its ceiling is so high. I think it's situational, but its ceiling makes it possible to be even less than that, right? Is it? No, I mean, you could just play Get Ready to use it once. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just talk about the card a little bit. So, Sky Cycle, it's 1 cost upgrade. You put it on an Avenger ally, right? And then you can exhaust it to ready up the ally. So pretty much every single turn where you have Sky Cycle in play, you can exhaust it and get another ready on the ally. One thing I will say is that the ready on the ally is not going to be as valuable as a ready on your identity, right? Because the ally usually takes more damage. But I'm thinking about specific cases like if we talk about like the pool allies here. So actually, should I even do Lady Deadpool because we're playing leadership here. So I have a Spider Woman deck where I use Lady Deadpool pool aspect with the leadership aspect, and then I made Lady Deadpool an Avenger with the honorary Avenger right here. Right, so this is a card that you can attach to a friendly character. So you put it on an ally, they get plus 1 hit point and gains the Avengers trait. So Lady Deadpool here will have the Avengers trait, and then you can put Sky Cycle on her, and you can exhaust Sky Cycle to ready the attached ally. Lady Deadpool has 2 Thor, 2 attack, and she does not take consequential damage. So for that extra ready every single turn, she can be removing 4 threat or attacking for 4 every single turn forever, for the rest of the game. So if you're playing multiplayer and it's a long game, it's very useful. Even in solo, if you're playing a more extended game, I mean, you can get so much benefit out of that. And in a situation like that, Sky Cycle is like an S tier card, right? It's like a card that I'm building heavily around and maximizing its effects so much. You know what I mean? And there's more than just that way to get that benefit out of Sky Cycle, right? If you have an ally like, let's say Spider-Man's identity-specific ally Black Cat, she does not take consequential damage for attack activation, so she can attack, get a free ready with Sky Cycle if you make her in Avengers, right? So I mean, she's not an Avengers either, but you can play the Honorary Avenger, like just what we talked about earlier. So for specific situations where ally does not take consequential damage, Sky Cycle is invaluable. But even if the ally does take consequential damage, to give them that extra ready, I mean, if it's just like that, actually, it's not going to be as good. I think I'm gonna have to drop Sky Cycle to C tier. I think because at the end of the day, it is still so situational that you have to really build around it to maximize its full potential. And if I have an empty roster spot in my deck, I'm not just gonna put the Sky Cycle in there unless I really have an ally-centric deck that I really want to build around the ally specifically and not just have them to block. So you really need a lot of economy to do that. So yeah, because of that, I'm gonna put Sky Cycle first in the C tier. Its potential is massive. I think it has so much potential in this game. It's like an S tier level card if you can maximize it, but at the end of the day, if you don't, it's just a C tier level card. It's situational. Yeah. So that's just kind of where Sky Cycle goes, even though I hyped it up so much. So yeah, this was a little bit more of a shorter list. These are all the leadership upgrades currently in Marvel Champions, and I have 3 in the A tier, 2 in the B tier, and I have the majority, seven of them in the C tier, just because I think these 7 cards revolve around preserving your allies, and a lot of times to maximize the full benefits of an ally, you want them to block for you, because if they're absorbing, 5, 10, 15 damage, then they're really being valuable to us. And if they're just taking one more consequential damage to get defeated for that extra Thor, like 2 Thor or 2 attack, that's not going to be as useful. So because of that, I think that these cards are a little bit weaker than playing in a style that has allies chump block for you. So you really have to build around all these cards as well. So they all go in the C tier, B tier here, and then A tier here. And my best leadership upgrade, in my opinion, is Rapid Response. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this list, if you agreed or disagree with anything, and I'll see you guys in the next one.